Alright, day 2 in the Kootenays. Sitting here with Ron. We just woke up a little while ago. We were up quite late. What do you work every night till about 3 in the morning in your grow?
Yeah.
Nice.
One room comes on at 10 o'clock, so you need 3 or 4 hours in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided to do a little filming this morning. We were talking in the chat, tinychat.com/BC Bubbleman Fresh Headies. And that is, we were talking about just stories. We were talking about how Ron used to own a hydroponics shop in Manitoba. That's how we actually met. I needed help with my grow. I was quite young, probably about 18 years old. And I was just starting my first grow. And I guess the plants got a little sick, and I had heard rumors about this guy who was apparently, pretty cool. This was, 25 years ago in Manitoba, which kind of is still not really very cool of a province, wouldn't you say?
No, it's still not cool, no.
It's still not a cool province. It's why we're here in British Columbia. Both Ron and I probably should have lived here most of our lives. Hey?
Yes.
But we're here now, so we're just probably going to chill out. Tell a few stories, puff a few bowls, and yeah, Ron was talking about having 1,000-watt light bulbs in the window of his hydroponic store back in the day. And I remember driving by before I knew him, before I went and asked for his help, and seeing these light bulbs just shining out of the street right onto a major street in Winnipeg, pretty much the major.
It is not Highway number 1.
It is, exactly.
Yeah.
It's Portage Avenue. It's Highway number 1. So right on Highway number 1, the Trans-Canada, you had 5,000 watts burning beautifully.
Yeah.
And what...
I had a 3-arm sun circle, turning 3 of them to show people sun circles.
Oh, yeah. What did the police think about all that?
They didn't like it. They came and told me to... They didn't tell me, they said, listen, we know we can't stop you from doing it, but if you continue to do it, say you get a break-in at your place, we won't be able to respond because we'll be blind. So maybe you could just do something about it, and or else we could park a police car in front of your store, your hydroponic store, and see how many customers you get in a daytime with a police car out front all day.
Didn't they do that?
No, they did it once.
I'm pretty sure I went there before and saw it.
They did it for an hour or 2 once. But they told me they were going to bring a bust down one from the shop, and just they didn't need. That was not running, and they're going to park it in front of my place and leave it there.
And really, not that you were a really bad dude, but you just didn't have a good relationship with those guys.
Well, no, Pot didn't have a good relationship. I didn't have it either, but I don't think I had not a bad relationship.
Well, they hated that you loved pot.
Yeah.
If I could put it any more simply than that. Do you know what I mean? They hated that you loved pot.
Yes. And it was Winnipeg.
And not only did you love it, you seemed to educate and execute pot better than most. What I mean by that is how well you grew it, how much you grew it, and how many people you taught to grow it. This is why Mark Emery's sitting in prison right now in Mississippi.
Because he loves it. We both love it.
Because he loves it to a point where he not only wants to share the information, it got to the point where Mark stepped to the next level and was selling the beans.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have harshed on Mark, saying that they've criticized him. Oh, he sold seeds and it was a huge ripoff, and he was making millions of dollars. It's yes, he sold seeds that were extremely expensive, and he did make millions of dollars. But here's the different part with Mark that you don't hear with many others, and that is that Mark gave all his money away. Mark never bought himself anything fancy. He never, bought himself a house or a car or anything. He just basically lived in his modest apartment and gave all that money to often American growers that had been busted and needed money for bail to get out, needed help with lawyer fees. It's kind of like when you go to an auction, a silent auction, and you pay more for the item than you're supposed to. You don't leave and complain that the silent auction ripped you off. You know that you supported something, that the money went to a good cause. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of with Mark, that you have to really give it up to him. I mean, he just gave...
And he did it in the times of when I was doing it. I'm an old dude.
Sure.
And Mark was doing it. Didn't Mark used to have a bookstore?
He did,
and,
yes.
And his bookstore went to his interest went to pot, and then but he was he did it in a rough time. He was the pioneer.
Oh yeah, he's always been also much like you in the sense like, just he's always gone a little against the grain, right?
Kudos to Mark.
When there was a garbage strike in Toronto back in the 80s, Mark was the one that organized hiring like scabs, and basically, oh, I found that hash. Awesome. I found the hash. He fired scabs, and I can't remember the tonnage, but he moved tonnage of garbage to the dumps from the city on those hot summer days where the garbage was just going to cause sickness and stench and all these, like we don't need that in our city. He did the same thing when he was told he couldn't sell certain types of magazines. That got him into bongs and not being allowed to sell bongs and cannabis. So, yeah, he's definitely...
It's all about the love. That's what it is. My passion comes from the love.
Absolutely.
His passion comes from the love.
You guys are both cannabis warriors. I know you both well. I've known you for 25 years. I've known Mark for 20 years. And I definitely know that I would defend you both in your love and passion for the plant.
And I'll say one thing right now too, because we're being videotaped. Mark is teaching somebody right now in a prison system somewhere in wherever it's Idaho or
Mississippi, Yazoo City.
Yeah, you can guarantee that he's entertaining and making all their lives much, much better. He's passing the word around all down there too.
Well, you know what? Adam Bowen wrote a song, and I think it's called something about the trichome, inside the trichome, or... In the song, he writes about Mark Emery and how he collected the fingers of activism and made them into a fist. Sort of a metaphor that we were all sort of apart and away, and he congealed us and got everyone to sort of do stuff. And in the song, he sings, Uncle Sam has ingested marijuana in the form of Mark Emery. And he basically sings that that's going to affect... It was amazing because he basically wrote that if the United States inhaled Mark Emery into their system, that he was literally marijuana, and that they would change... that he would change their system from within. And you can honestly say the prosecuting attorney who prosecuted Mark Emery is the same man who a year and a half later, or 2.5 years later, was the promoter of legalization in Washington. If you can wrap your head around that. So maybe they did ingest marijuana. Now we've seen Colorado bring legal cannabis to market. We've seen California. There's a variety of other, Vermont and... So
they were sort of validating that Mark did get all this rock and rolling.
I mean, it's hard to say, right? But it is pretty unique.
They're saying it.
He wrote it in a song a few years before it happened.
Yeah. Anyways, right on for Mark. We'll see him soon, I guess this summer. One thing we all say about Mark, though, too, I just want to throw this in because I don't know who will hear this, but Jodi does pretty good behind him.
Jodi's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
She's done a really amazing job. She stepped up at a very young age, and just a person that wasn't in the scene at all and came into the scene and absolutely just has become one of my favorite spokespeople for our scene.
And she's taking really good care of his business while he's gone too. We can see we talk to the employees, we see how the business is going.
And more importantly, she's visited Mark.
Yeah, lots. Yeah, like she's
at least once a month, maybe twice a month.
So let's just give Jodi something for this all too, right on.
Absolutely, yeah. Big
kudos.
Big kudos to them. Yeah, we're in our chat right now, and one of our members is saying that people say bad things about Mark and Jodi, and I just want to say that people will always want to attach themselves to any type of fame or any type of subject that is being spoken about, any type of news. And Jodi and Mark, they're kind of famous. They're like they're newsworthy story. They're our representatives. They represent us in the news and in the media, our activism and all the work that we've done over the years. They're kind of our representatives. You only get a few to do that in the media. And Jodi, Jodi and Mark is a strong personality, so sometimes he rubs people the wrong way. It's great that he manifested Jodi into his life because it's hard to see Jodi rubbing anyone the wrong way. She's just sweet, nice person, wholesome, honest, just a really nice person. So I'm glad to call them both my friends.
Yeah, when you think of the strong girls of the pot world, with me being an old guy, I say we gotta add Hillary in there too.
Yeah, well, you know what? Hillary was definitely like the original, powerful, you know, like just incredible spokesperson. Always came out smelling like a rose.
Pleasant.
Every time you saw Hillary on the news, it was like, woohoo!
Yeah.
You know, and then she stepped away.
And that is Hillary.
That is, yeah,
That is
absolutely.
Hillary.
That's who Hillary always was. So, but when she stepped away, Jodi really kind of stepped into that position. And I never thought anyone would be able to sort of step into that position, because Hillary would just, you know, she would pull it off every time.
Well, Hillary's
Just-
born to be it.
yeah, absolutely.
Jodi, I don't know. Didn't know Jodi.
For those of you that don't know Hillary Black started the BC Compassion Club. We met her years before that when she worked with Mark Emery at the original Hemp BC, and she was probably 17 years old when we first met Hillary.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very cool.
She sat in your living room that one day and said, "I want to start something that helps for compassion for people."
Yeah, well, I remember her saying she didn't like the word medical and she didn't like the word marijuana, so she wanted to call it cannabis compassion.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of thinking about moving to San Francisco to live with Todd McCormick, another well-known cannabis activist who she was dating at the time. But she was having some difficulties. I had just moved to British Columbia. This was 1996. 1996. Yeah, it was 1996.
Okay.
And so she decided it was either move down with Todd, which I'm very glad she didn't. Todd ended up getting arrested in that fiasco. They were growing in a mansion in Bel Air, a couple of properties over from the Reagans. That was the Peter McWilliams grow as well, where Peter McWilliams ended up passing away and all of that due to not being able to take cannabis for antiemetic. He choked on his own vomit. They had taken his mom's home away and told him that they were going to keep, you know, if he smoked cannabis, that they weren't going to be releasing his home. Just a terrible story. Todd did 5 years on Terminal Island for that. Renee Bourget was wanted for a 10-year sentence. She had to escape up to Canada. That's when Chris Bennett met her. And so all these things were happening. It was just a real crazy time. And Hillary, literally, I had just moved to British Columbia from Manitoba. Hillary was my one friend. And I was just like, I was right behind her to start her Compassion Club idea. And of course, the BC Compassion Club's been around for 18 years now. I was one of their first growers. I was happy to support them with cannabis, often at a lower cost than I could find cannabis for myself. But it was definitely something that, it was a good thing when the Cannabis Compassion Club got started.
Oh, for sure. I'm so proud of it. It's unbelievable. When I go to my local town here and go to the Compassion Club, I just know that it's there. I see people coming in that need a place to just go. It's that there's some friendly people that can, you know, give them the best service they can.
Absolutely. It grew into such a beautiful thing with the health center on the other side, with the massage and Reiki and all these things they offer for free from the profits of the cannabis. They send that over to the next side, and then there's people that can go talk with counselors, and just it's really herbalists. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, information sharing.
Yeah, so that's the BC Compassion Club. You can check that out. I think they're on 13th and Commercial Drive.
And I mean, it's not even just BC Compassion. Don't you think, like, even just our little Nelson Compassion Club?
Absolutely, they're all over. They're popping up everywhere, and Hillary really set the bar with what.
And it's not about making money. It's not entrepreneurship. It's about friendship. It's about healing. You know, it's about. I see people go in. They get a smile on their face when they sit by some Mr. Nice.
Yeah.
You know, whatever was told, the watermelon, whatever it is.
Totally.
And they see a smile on their face. They walk out. You know they're gonna have a better day.
You want another rip?
Sure, love them.
All right. Yeah, so we're not exactly sure what we're going to do today. We'll probably do a few clips from Ron's grow. He did just cut down the majority of his crop, but he's got a new one flowering, so we'll go in there and get some tips from him, and then maybe we'll be making some bubble hash today as well.
We should, yeah.
Yeah. Ron's got a whole bunch of nice material put aside for bubbling, as well as dry sifting. There's several pounds sitting out on the screens. I'll show you that a little later on too. And hopefully we bump into some local Nelson friends. It'd be nice to see some Kootenay friends that I haven't seen in a while. And later tonight I think we're going to go by the Ainsworth Hot Springs. So stay tuned. See you guys later.